Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Welcome to Good Movies and Music. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching. Today we're here with another movie reaction. We're watching The Trip from 2011. You know, there's that expression, there's two inevitabilities in life, death and taxes. And if you're an art house, cinephile, there is a third inevitability, and that's that every couple of years you're going to get another trailer for the next installment in the Trip series. These movies have always caught my attention. I've always enjoyed the trailers. They've made me laugh. And I'd always see one of these trailers and I'd say, just make a mental note. Let's get back and watch this movie at some point. But, the thing about mental notes is they're kind of useless if you don't go back and check in on them every now and then. So, yeah, I haven't actually watched any of these Trip movies. And I think there's about 4 of them at this point. And what I didn't realize until just recently when I was doing research about, potentially watching this movie on this channel is that the reason there's so many of these is because it's not technically just a movie franchise. It's actually a series, I believe, on the BBC, and each season ends up getting whittled down into a 2-hour movie, which for me actually solidified why I wanted to do this reaction on this channel, because I put in the titles of these films filmmaker's first time watching. That's because I am a filmmaker. I've made a couple of short films, written, directed. I also do some cinematography, a little bit of acting, just a little bit of everything, because you have to be a jack of all trades when you're starting out doing DIY film. And one of my favorite things to do, well, I don't know if favorite's a strong word, but one of the more challenging and interesting aspects of filmmaking, I'll put it that way, is editing. And so to see that somebody has to go and take, 3+ hours of a TV season and turn it into a 2-hour movie, and they have to make something that's coherent, and more than coherent, it has to, ideally be a good movie, right? So I just find that challenge really fascinating, really compelling as a filmmaker. That sounds like such an interesting project to take on. To, imagine taking your favorite season of TV and try to make a movie out of that using just the footage that you have of the TV season. I feel like that would be a really interesting challenge. And it kind of also speaks to what I do here on this channel, because, obviously when I do these reactions, I can't just show you the whole 2-hour movie for copyright reasons. It would kind of cease to be fair use at that point. I would just be giving a movie away. So I definitely try to be mindful of trimming as much as I can. But in that, I also want to be mindful of the viewer, of you guys. Ideally, I want to edit my reaction in such a way that if you weren't paying attention to my reaction and you were just following the actual cuts I've made to the footage, that you'd still have a coherent story there. You'd still be able to follow the arc of what's going on in the movie. And that's just the filmmaker in me. I don't want to, it would feel disrespectful to butcher these movies in such a way where you don't even get a sense of what the actual story is, So I do try to be mindful of that when I'm making these edits. And, just to keep these things fair use and, kosher with the copyright, I've given myself the limit of using no more than 15 minutes of footage from any of these movies in all these reactions that I do. So that's my kind of limit that I put on myself, is try to tell a coherent story out of this 2-hour movie in just a 15-minute chunk. And so it's very similar in that way, what they've done, taking this season of TV and making it a movie. And yeah, so that kind of speaks to me very specifically. So this is a very niche reason that I'm doing this reaction, but hopefully I'll enjoy it. And like I said, it looks like a really funny movie. I've seen the trailers. I know that both of these guys, Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon, I'm not too familiar with their work outside of this franchise, but I do know from the trailers that they're just both really great impressionists, and they just seem like really fun, charismatic guys to go on a trip with. So I think that's all I really want to say about this movie. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be my reaction to The Trip from 2011, starring Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon, directed by Michael Winterbottom. Let's go on a trip.
Hello.
Hey, Rob, Steve.
Oh, hiya. How are you?
Good. Listen, are you free next week? It's kind of a tour of the North, restaurant tour, really good restaurants.
Tour of the North?
Well, Misha is unavailable. You met Misha. Misha's my girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, the Australian girl.
No, God, no, it was ages ago. I've asked other people, but they're all too busy. So, do you want to come?
I'd have to ask Sally.
It's a job. I'm not asking you to go on holiday with me or anything weird. It's for the Observer magazine.
I can already see the first sort of tale that this was edited down from a TV series to a movie is how they just basically rolled all the credits over that opening dialogue scene. That sort of felt like a compression that was just necessary for cutting time.
Have fun.
Well, if you haven't heard anything from me in 5 days, alert the authorities.
Also, is it just me, or is this sort of kind of a hallmark of a lot of British film and TV, at least like in the last 10, 20 years, of this sort of like faux documentary style of shooting? Like I'm thinking of In the Loop. That was a great movie, and it was shot in a very similar way.
I've always liked maps. When we would go on holidays, kids, my dad would plan the route, show us on the map what the route was.
Just love a good road trip. Just lets you just talk and catch up, and just, it's almost like a different state of mind.
It's been done before.
It's 2010, everything has been done before. All you can do is do something someone's done before, but do it better or differently.
I like that perspective.
What's yours like?
Well, it tastes of tomatoes.
What a connoisseur are you with food?
Look, the reason I was doing this trip was to bring Misha along. She's a very confident foodie, and I thought she could help me. And I wanted to show Misha the north.
You're from Manchester. You could take her around and show her the gun crime sites.
I'm from the north. The north has an identity of itself. The north could be a different country. It has as much of an identity as Wales.
Doesn't Wales have its own language? I gotta go with Brydon on this one.
Probably more than any.
Anthony Hopkins. I want a room with a view. I want to see a tree.
I think anyone over 40.
I don't think he did the after that line. It is liver with fava beans and a nice Chianti.
My name's Michael Caine.
That is where you are so wrong. And you can look at my live video for proof, because that's the very thing I don't do.
Do you, Michael Caine?
Okay. I say, Michael Caine used to talk like this in the 1960s, right? But that has changed. And I say that over the years, Michael's voice has come down several octaves. Let me finish. I've still not finished. The voice.
You're panicking.
Because you look like you're about to bloody talk. Let me finish. I can't go fast because Michael Caine talks very, very slowly.
Michael Caine speaks to his nose like that. He gets very, very specific. It's very like that. When he gets loudly, it gets very loud indeed. You're not doing it with the kind of, and you don't do the broken voice, but it gets very emotional. When he gets very emotional indeed. She was only 16 years old. She was only 16. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. That's Michael Caine.
I think Brydon's is stronger overall, but that last little bit about the emotion and the voice, that was very strong. That was strong.
Heat in my scallops. Heat.
Oh, damn. He actually kind of looks like Pacino.
I'm out there. Ever work with Michael Mann?
I don't work with mainstream Hollywood directors. I work with auteurs.
I'd consider Michael Mann an auteur.
No, I like humour. I like levity. I like brevity. I just like to
Gravity? Where do you stand?
firmly.
Firmly. Nice.
It's your lucky day.
Why?
We've had a cancellation. You don't have to share a bed tonight.
I'll drink to that.
Maybe you want to see it.
Yes, I think I would. So you mind excusing me?
No, it's like that. No, it's like that. It's really nice.
It's like
It's really nice.
really nice.
It's really nice.
You know, that day, Master Wayne, even I won't want to. Looking like he's getting ready to scale Everest in that getup. Guess it gets cold in the north. So fill me in, because I just am not that knowledgeable about England. You know, basically outside of London and maybe Manchester. What's the reputation of the north, you know, within England? How do people view it? How do people talk about it?
Yeah, it was really good. I met some amazing people. There's lots of interest.
Yeah, who'd you meet? Who is interesting? Does he fancy you?
God, you know what? That really pisses me off when you do that. Like, I've got nothing else to offer.
I thought we'd go up to Dunsop Bridge, up through the Trough of Bowland, through Abbeystead, get on the M6 at Junction 33.
All right, allow me to be an ignorant American for a second. Whenever I hear people talking about the names of towns and villages in England, like they could just be making up words and I'd just be like, yeah. It just all sounds so different. The Trough of Bowland.
Cheers.
Cheers. Taste of a childhood garden.
Well, it's got a bit of alcohol in it. Was there a lot of alcohol in your garden as a child? I'm sorry, Rob. The consistency is a bit like snot.
I can't get the image of snot out of my head now. Every time I look at that, I wonder, that was lovely. Really nice.
Very nice.
Thank you.
There's something about British humor where a lot of it is sort of based on a comedy of manners and being polite to a fault, but also being petty when the person's not looking. And as soon as they're there, just flipping that switch into politeness. That just so speaks to who I am as a person. Just finding myself in those situations.
Baby queen scallops. They're resting on grilled baby jam.
They're resting. Wake them from the rest. They're about to be eaten.
They're resting. Their days of resting have been and gone. They are dead.
I love how I just basically got to that joke before he could.
I'd like a martini, shaken, not stirred.
I'll have a vodka.
I'll have a vodka.
You look very worried.
That's really you.
No.
You should take a look at your face. You look like you're recovering from a stroke and learning how to get mobility again.
I'd like a vodka martini.
I can feel my legs. It's a miracle.
I'd like a vodka martini, shaken but not stirred.
I don't know a lot about Bond, unfortunately. I think I've only ever watched the Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Come, Mr. Bond, you get just as much pleasure from killing as I
I
do.
was saying that bit. Shut up, don't tell me how to act.
Well, I bloody should do. Come, Mr. Bond, you get just as much of... Come, Mr. Bond.
Try and get the lines right.
All right.
As a rule, it's
Okay.
more effective if
Okay.
you don't
Okay.
fluff the
Okay.
line.
All right. This is it. Come, Mr. Bond. You get just as much pleasure from killing as I do.
Come, Mr. Bond, you get just as much pleasure from killing as I do.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
You went up at the end, like you watch us.
You derive just as much pleasure from killing as I do.
like.
Come, Mr. Bond. You derive as much pleasure from killing as I do.
Someone brought my name up and he said, I wish I'd gotten hold of Steve Coogan when he was 35. I thought, crikey, is that it? Is it game over? I mean, I'm 41, you know?
You're not 41.
I'm not, no, I'm 44. I've been 41 for 3 years.
I get a call from P.T. Anderson. I get a call from Wes Anderson. Noah Baumbach, Todd Haynes, Alexander
Ben Stiller out of nowhere.
all of them.
Come back. Wait, come back.
Can't, I got a thing, but I don't think I'll talk to you later, but at some point, okay?
We're going to take the A591 up to Keswick.
Again, he could just be making all these words up and I would just have to believe him.
Just the two of us?
We can be chummy.
Yeah, exactly. Chummy.
We can be chummy.
Without the bum.
Just for one day.
Bumless chums.
Bumless chums. Bit weird. Can I have a knife for the butter, please, and a rolled up £20 note for the sandwich? Thank you.
If that was me and my wife sitting there, that's the exact joke I would have made.
I'd rather be me than you, because I'd rather have these moments of genius than a lifetime of mediocrity.
My career is not mediocre.
Man, that's a
Thank you very much.
sort of timeless discussion to have
Golly, thank you.
in any sort of career field, not just the arts or, you know, celebrity culture.
You can't treat entire life like a Radio 4 paddle show.
Yes, you can.
Buzzing in.
20th birthday with alcohol, his 30th with drugs, and his 40th with food. Is that how it is for you?
You Steve Coogan?
Yes, I am.
Aha!
Is it true what I read about you?
What do you read about me?
That you're a bit of a cunt. It's in today's newspaper. Yeah, what? You sure?
That's some good newspaper humor. Below the fold reveal. The more things go digital, the more you lose the ability for just good physical humor. You know, we talk a lot about physical media and the importance of physical media, but what about physical humor, you know?
Remember, death is but a moment. Cowardice is a lifetime of affliction.
Nice.
To bed, for we rise at daybreak. Let's leave at daybreak. No, they never leave it, 9:30. Gentlemen, to bed, for we leave at 9:30. Ish. Gentlemen, to bed, for we leave at 8:30 for 9. And we rise at just after 7:30, so just after daybreak. To bed,
For a daybreak, I will...
Breakfast.
We will breakfast.
Yes, aye.
Yes.
'Tis a
We shall
continental
brunch.
breakfast.
You sound a bit like Billy Connolly.
I know. I know. I can't help it.
Can't
Send
help
women
it.
to bed for tomorrow. Why do they do that? They always raise at daybreak.
Oh, it's such a good Billy Connolly. We raise at daybreak.
Curl up in my basket and chew my bone. So, yeah, sorry.
Oh, that felt so flat, so awkward. Yeah, if the person you're having a conversation with is just not game, or just not catching the references, it can be so awkward.
Cut to the chase. You have got co-lead in a drama series.
Yeah, it's called Pathological. Okay, you play a pathologist.
If it goes, it's 7 years. If it goes, if you're a household name.
I played all my cards.
Now you sound like the Nazi from Inglourious Basterds.
Who I look like?
Yes.
Now it's hurting.
Now I want to see him do a Hans Landa. Come on, do it. I love rumors.
Hello?
Hey, Joe, it's Dad.
Yeah, I know your name comes up on the screen. How long have you known him?
Rob, 11 years, something like that.
It's amazing. Yeah, such a long time.
Yeah, I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. Okay, listen, I'll be back soon, and we'll have some fun time.
And it is incredible. I mean, look, that is incredible. Standing on a grave, sorry. I would like to be buried so that I have a headstone like Elvis.
Mm-hmm. I'd be happy if you know, I'm happy with either. If they buried you or cremated you, they would both suit me fine.
when someone dies and they go to the funeral and they say, you know, we should have done this when he was alive. He would have loved this.
What, cremated him? We should have done this a lot when he was alive. Cremated him. Ha 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 ha. No riposte from you, because you're dead.
I don't think you should say that. Are you really
In the box.
That would be. The thing is, you wouldn't be able to come back with your man in a box, even though it would be fantastic if you had. I'd be there. I'd be at your funeral.
And now, from one of Rob's very closest friends, you'll know him, of course, as TV's Alan Partridge. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Coogan.
Rob was an interesting guy. Very funny, very entertaining, and yet at the same time, there was something about him that was lost, because behind every little pithy, vaguely amusing joke is a cry for help.
Wow.
But let's not remember
there,
I won't finish there, no. But of course, let's not remember a man who has lost, desperately trying to legitimize his life by doing silly voices constantly and not confronting the truth. Let's remember the other side of Rob.
Talk about some of the characters.
Oh, so some of the characters. Who can forget his Tom Jones impression? Who can forget that? I'll do plenty of Tom Jones when you're dead. Don't worry about that. Whew.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, but there'll be affection there.
Should it go the other way?
It's okay. I'm not asking you to do that. Let's move on. Let's move on.
No.
No, I'm just
I
saying.
really wanted to.
Yeah, that's all right.
Would be.
It's okay. I don't need to know. I'd rather it be a mystery.
Regarding the burial versus cremation thing, something always just seemed weird to me about not being buried necessarily, but being pumped full of chemicals and then put into a box into the ground. Because you're not really buried in that sense at that point. You know, you're just... Something feels so temporary about that, given how permanent it is. It feels like a sort of purgatory to just be in a box preserved through chemicals. Like, you're not really getting back to nature in that way. You're not... It's like we're not letting you fully move on, you know, like our ancestors, for going back as far as you can go evolutionarily. You die, you're in the ground, you get absorbed back into the ground, you decompose, you become part of the earth again, you know? You become the soil. So there's always just been something really off-putting to me about the idea of not getting to rejoin the soil and just being stuck in a box pumped full of chemicals. There's a rapper, Astronautilus, who has a line in the song where he says, "When I die, bury me underneath the tree in the backyard." And yeah, something feels a lot more peaceful and right about that than just having a plot in some place you never would have otherwise been.
Well, if you were to allow your child to have an illness, you could win, say a BAFTA, you could have a film BAFTA, an illness the child would recover from but would have some discomfort.
No.
Oscar, Best Actor. Hey, Best Actor, Steve.
What, for having an ill child? Of course not. Well, hang on. What kind of illness?
Yeah, there it is.
Appendicitis. Now we glimpse the real man.
What do you mean? I'm thinking about it. I was thinking it through.
So have you made a decision about America? Will you stay or will you go?
I'm not gonna, I don't know. Nothing more to say.
No more ace to play.
The winner takes it all.
The winner takes it all. Wow.
Right. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate you doing this.
Cheers.
Good. All right.
Let's have a hug.
Okay, all right.
Give me a ring and we'll get together.
All right, mate.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, man. This whole time, Rob's just wanted to connect, and Steve just keeps shutting it down.
The traveler returns. Oh. I've missed you.
So how was he?
He was his usual self. His usual self. This is delightful. One of the most delightful meals. One of the most delightful homecomings I've ever enjoyed.
Hi, Matt. This is Steve calling. Just to say I've thought it over, and I'm not going to do the HBO pilot. I'm not going to spend 7 years in the US. I've got kids.
HBO, though? It's not TV. It's HBO. Well. Okay. To bed, for we rise at 9:30. As someone who's a lifelong night owl, whose inability to wake up to an alarm has gotten him in his fair share of trouble in the past, I related heavily to that line. It's taken a lot of work, but I feel like now that I'm getting older, I've since become... I'm more of a morning person than I used to be, for sure. I'm actually finding myself on some days waking up before my alarm, which just never would have happened even 5 years ago. So you can change. That just goes to show you. You can work on it and you can change. But yeah, I love that. That scene was so great. Yeah, what a fun movie. So my first question is, if you've seen the original series, what did you think of that, and how does it compare with the film? Because aside from the opening scene, which was this cold open scene in which they had the credits displayed over it, that was the only kind of sort of crunch or compression that I felt in terms of the editing. Because I guess maybe part of me expected that I'd be able to feel what was missing, and that was the thing, is I didn't feel anything missing. That felt like a complete cohesive experience. I did like a lot of the character work that was happening in this movie, aside from the comedic bits, which were obviously hilarious and amazing. It's worth the price of admission just for those bits. But what I did like about the character work in terms of the dramatic end of things was, and it's, this is a very classic story of, the loner and the family man, you know, the artist and the 9-to-5er. You know, one of them plays the cynic, yet has these romantic notions of, you know, being the supernova, going out with the bang, you know, being that big shining star. Whereas on the other side, you have the guy who's just, you know, kind of just wants to show up every day, and he doesn't want to be too big. You know, he just wants to keep that even keel. It's like that quote they said, you know, never get hot, just always stay warm. You know, there's people who live warm. In this case, Brydon is portrayed as the one who's keeping it warm. You know, and what that gets you in this case with Brydon is that, you know, he seems like this well-adjusted, content, you know, happy family man. And yeah, sure, he's not, you know, this big star who's like doing these big, brilliant artistic things, but he's getting to play to his strengths. You know, his impressions are awesome. Gets to do that, gets to do the thing that he's good at, that makes him happy, and still come home to his family. And yeah, he's you know, that perfect example, that perfect model of, you know, keeping it warm. Whereas Coogan in this film is portrayed as trying to reach for those supernova heights, and he just hasn't gotten there. So because of expectations, you know, he's carved out a really good career, you know, a career that a lot of people would want. But because of his expectations of wanting to be that supernova, he just can't be happy with it. He's just not content. He's always seeking more validation and more notice, and, you know, he wants to be bigger than where he's at. You know, he has that line in the film where he's like, at this age, everything's exhausting, and you don't get the sense of exhaustion from Brydon, who's I'm imagining about his age as well. And that's not to say that Brydon, you know, doesn't have his moments, but because of that even keel that he keeps, and because of the stability that he has, he doesn't wear that exhaustion. It doesn't weigh heavy on him the way it does on Coogan. You know, when you've carved out this solitary life, the exhaustion just weighs much more heavily because, you know, you have no one to lift you up, you know, when you need it, and you're not lifting anyone else up. You know, it's that solitary artistic life. You know, I feel like that could be way more exhausting. And I think it's, you know, such a great arc to where it ends with, you know, he's had this offer on the table that would take him to America, make him a big star for 7 years, and he turns it down. You know, it's the one thing he's been chasing all movie is the spotlight and fame. And at the end, he realizes, you know what, I have a family here. I have people who do care about me and that I care about. Like, let me stop running away from that, turn down the big offer, and, like, you know, he's like, I have a kid, you know, I can't be away for 7 years. So it's interesting that he reaches that conclusion at the end. Yeah, for as silly and as light as this movie was in so many ways, it also just grappled with some really big, heavy things, and it never really hit you over the head with it. It was always, you know, they dealt with themes of growing older and, you know, chasing your dreams and all these sort of big questions, but I liked their approach of how it was just very conversational. There's that old adage, you know, show the audience, don't tell them. And in some ways, how you tell can be a way of showing. So they'd have these conversations about these things, and it was the way they would talk about them that would reveal, it would, you know, would tip their hand of, you know, what they really believed or didn't believe based on how they were saying what they were saying at times. You know, it was kind of the unsung tragedy of this film to me, is that in a lot of ways this was more of an unrequited bromance. You know, you had Rob, who at different times was trying to reach out and trying to make a connection, clearly cared about Steve and was interested in sort of deepening their bond and just wanted to be more of a friend to him. And in these instances, Steve would just shut him down. You know, it's that thing where he's just running away. You know, he doesn't want any of these connections because maybe he feels like they're just gonna weigh him down and get in the way of his chase for stardom. You know, but Rob is just so secure in where he's at in life that, you know, he just wants friends at this point. He wants more connections. You know, he feels like he's got professionally what he needs. So now personally, he just wants more connection. And, you know, he would reach out and Steve just, you know, wasn't in the right mind frame to give him that. So yeah, there was just this sort of unrequited bromance, which was kind of, you know, it was subtle, but it was there, and it was just kind of heartbreaking, you know? So yeah, this movie definitely had layers. You know, it was more than just silly impressions, although I really loved those silly impressions. But yeah, there was a lot going on under the surface, so I really appreciated that. So that's going to do it for me for today. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to follow along with more of my reactions, doing this every week, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you can get notifications whenever I upload a new video. Signing out for today. This has been Good Movies and Music. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.